Hey, what's up, folks? I realized I was muted there. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Title Tuesday. The tournament is just getting underway. Sorry about that, folks. If you don't know me, I'm Kostya. This is my first time streaming ever, so it's great to be here. We have a great tournament ahead of us, and let's see, games have just started. So let's just start with the top board. We have Hikaru, of course. The top seed, playing white against Evil Morty 23. And we also have Daniel Naroditsky playing the second seed against our friend on Chess Twitter, Nate Solon, who, if you don't follow him on Twitter, he posts a lot of really useful stuff too. So maybe we will check out this game as well. But let's stick with Hikaru for now, the top seed. Hey, how's everyone doing? You can pronounce my last name Kavutskiy. So my full name is Kostya Kavutskiy. I'm an international master. I generally stream with Chess Dojo Live, where I work with international master David Pruis and Grandmaster Jesse Cry. It's kind of our team channel. And yeah, so we have 11 rounds, 265 players. Some folks have already won their first game. So, pandering there. And we're getting a raid. Speaking of Chess Dojo Live, raiding the channel. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. The tournament has just gotten started here. We have 11 rounds of 3+1, I want to say, ahead of us. And as usual, all of the world's best players playing in the tournament. We have Hikaru, we have Dubov, Grischuk, MVL, Fedoseev. Then you have, you know, the Blitz monsters like Danya and Nihal Sarin, Bortnik, of course, Sarana playing, Jeffrey Zhang, Hans on Twitch. So many top players, top grandmasters. So yeah, we're kind of spoiled for choice. And this game is moving super fast. Hikaru here playing against the isolated queen pawn, over a minute ahead on the clock versus the opponent. I've played Hikaru, I think, a few times in these Blitz events, and he's just so fast that it really puts a lot of pressure on the clock, and of course plays extremely well. Yeah, here I would say black is under some break pressure. Now white decides to trades off the bishop on g7 as well. And we're going to see white looking to capitalize against black's weak pawns here. Yeah, knight d4 looks very natural. And yeah, at some point Hikaru is going to be, I think, looking for, queen b2, some kind of knockout. Excuse me, guys, just need to write something to my producers here. And rook c1. Yeah, white just trading off the pieces here. As long as he leaves himself with one heavy piece, so either a queen or the rook, that heavy piece is always going to be able to capitalize on black's many weaknesses here. So we see a rook trade. Now white can take on e6. He takes with the bishop, looking to trade these off and get the knight in. And yeah, I think Hikaru will be winning this one. Looks like Grischuk already won his first game as well. Oh, we have Penguin GM. Yeah, a lot of strong players in the field. Yeah, all the best players except me and Magnus. That's right. Okay, knight d4, queen c7. Oh, look, black is still trying to fight on. Thanks, Leon. Much appreciated. And Hikaru snags another pawn there. So yeah, this is gonna be very tough to hold. Not saying impossible, but difficult. Very difficult. f3 now, queen takes b6. Okay, g4, good move, trying to create some squares around the white king. But I don't think Hikaru is going to allow black to activate too much. Exactly. Queen e6, keeping control. And okay, I think we can safely assume Hikaru is going to win this one. Let's check in with Danya here. As okay, Danya just won his game. Let's see, we have other games going on. How about MVL? MVL is still pressing, still pushing here. And he's down in exchange, but he's got a couple pawns for it, and this light-scored bishop is really, really strong. And given that we have these opposite color bishops on the board, definitely feels like white has a very easy way to play for the initiative. Okay, I was going to say g4, that's a nice tactic because this rook was hanging. So if queen takes h7, then white just wins back the exchange. So king f8, bishop drops back to e4. Now white is just completely winning. These pawns are way too strong. He even just goes for the endgame. He doesn't even need to play for checkmate anymore because strategically white is just crushing here. MVL is a big believer that the rook is not the good part of the yeah, he's always surprised that people are allowing him to sack the exchange like that, I'm sure. Alrighty, here, let me actually just set up the standings for everyone so we can have the live standings throughout the show. As MVL makes use of his 17 extra pawns to convert this endgame. I mean, it's honestly not that simple. Black does have this 8 pawn as well, but now that white's gotten these 2 pawns to the 7th rank, it's really going to be hard for the rook to deal. And he does win already, folks. I'm just trying to set up the standings for everyone so you guys can follow the top players here. And actually, let's make sure we can see how many points they have. So far, I haven't noticed any major upsets yet. And oh, Andreykin is also playing the event. Very cool. Very cool. And let's jump to another live game. I'm sure we have tons of games left. Wait, Hikaru's still playing? No, Hikaru won long ago. Let's see, we have, okay, there we go. Couple games left. Looks like, oh, small upset here. But this game is over. I think next round is going to be starting soon. No, this game's still alive. I always like, you know, these last-second end games at the end of the round. I always enjoy really watching them. I know a lot of people complain when it's something like rook and bishop versus rook, or like some really drawn like rook and pawn versus pawn. But I don't know. I always like that there's one game that goes like 140 moves every single round. And here, okay, white is flagging. Oh wow. Oh, big drama here. I mean, because objectively, white should not be losing this position. But actually, no, maybe white is just losing because this D pawn is super, super strong. But anyway, it looks like maybe one game to go. And yeah, this should just be a pretty easy win for black. And yeah, next round should be starting momentarily. Yeah, it looks like all the top guys more or less were able to win. let's see if we have games from the next round. Yes, we do. Okay. Now let's see if there are any players you guys want me to check out. Let me know. Here we have Grischuk getting a bit of a boost from his opponent. Oh, some people are requesting the eval bar. I don't know. I mean, personally, I'm against the eval bar, guys, and I'll explain why. I'd be happy to add it in if maybe we did like a poll or something. I think that would be the most democratic way. We should just poll the viewers if we could, and then I'm happy to add it in. But let me give you guys my explanation for why I don't like the eval bar. Because a lot of people say, oh, the eval bar, it's like knowing the score of a game, right? You're watching like a football game, you want to know the score at all times. And I totally get that. That makes sense. But to me, the eval bar, it's not a great analogy. It's not really the score of the game. It's an evaluation. But the problem is when you get to the end of the game, and everyone loves like when the eval bar is going up and down, up and down. In what sport does the score go up and down so much that you're not even like watching the game? You're just like watching the score, and like you've stopped paying attention to what's happening on the board because your eyes are just looking at this bar going, up and down. So I feel like that just doesn't happen, right? That's not really a thing. And yeah, for me, it really distracts from the experience of like watching, best player in the world. But that's just me, guys. That's just my personal opinion. Again, this is my my first day of streaming. So Grischuk here so far, I mean, kind of hard to see how he is planning on, let's say, winning this position as black. It seems like, yeah, once white wins back this pawn on d4, white's going to be very, very happy. But I think his point is that he's trying to take this e-pawn. I agree, this is not strategically a great decision, but had white taken on d4, then I think black actually gets away with taking this e5 pawn. So queen f5 instead, and this feels like a more ambitious move for sure. Just trying to hold on to this pawn and then go like rook d1 and then take. And then if white can do all this, then white's better. We're not even talking about black, black trying to win. It's just white is better. So a6, okay, important moment, right? Now if white takes on d4 here, I think he can. I don't really see what black does. Right, takes. Knight takes d4. No, it looks like a very nice position for white. Yeah, really, really nice. So Grischuk's worse here. He's gonna have to figure out how to defend this. But of course, it's blitz, right? It's like 3+1. Check out some MVL games. Yeah, absolutely. So let's see here. Well, there was a question, if not cd4. I mean, yeah, you can always play c4 in this position and try to build up on the queen side. Maybe that was better. Queen d7, making sure that we're controlling all the light squares. But that's just a quick 2-second analysis. Now we're in this endgame. And, okay, rook a8, hold on. White has a problem with this, this e5 pawn. So it takes queen c8, rook d1, takes. Now knight e3. Yeah, I think black is solving, wow, just like that, solving all his issues and then some. Now he's just up a pawn. What an interesting trick, huh? Queen c8, white goes rook a1, following the rule, or like you're not supposed to trade on your opponent's terms. You're supposed to let them take, and then Grischuk takes. And he could have taken on e5 right here, but then the d pawn saying, no, he just goes rook d8, defends the pawn, and now white can't defend this e pawn. So maybe he needed to, I don't know, needed to figure something out with this pawn, because now black is just a pawn up, just like that. And I think close, not close to winning, but he's definitely having a big advantage here. Yeah, d4. Oh, rook d1, nice move, fighting back. Yeah, that's funny, Ken. I don't know. I would say I've always I've never disliked endgames. And I don't particularly love endgames right now. so I don't know if that's right. But I do like following the top players. So king f2. Yeah, this is going to be hard for black, because this pawn is just under so much pressure. And it's like, how to improve the position? h5, g3. Oh, now white's just winning back the pawn. But knight e5. Still some tension here. White goes b3. Now maybe we'll see g5. I thought maybe g5, g4. No, just g6. f4. Uh-oh. Black has to be careful here. If knight c6, knight takes c6. Looks like everything's just getting traded off. Okay. Well, maybe Grishchik will win this one. Not the most interesting position. Let's see how MVL is doing. Now, MVL here is black, and feels like he's on the better side of this rook endgame, where white has a couple more pawn islands. In fact, all of white's pawns are isolated and weak, and black has some very active rooks. Yeah, objectively I'm not sure, but somehow feels like yeah, he's gonna find a way to win this one. Rook f4. He trades. He could have kept the rook as well, but he trades and snags a pawn. Now at least white gets some activity. Now I'm no longer so sure. In fact, who's even better here? Because this white's king is very strong. So I think MVL, I don't know, didn't quite play this one right. Yeah. I mean, I normally don't like criticizing the top guys, but he is down a queen. I think once you're down a queen, we can safely say you misplayed something from an endgame where only black was better. So maybe he shouldn't have traded the rooks. That's kind of my feeling. Now white here is a little bit nervous. I would be too. You have extra queen against MVL, but he does get the W. Very nice, very nice. Big upset there. Well played by Hurricane, 77-91. Let's see, Hikaru is still playing. Ooh, very, very blocked up position. And looks like black won. Wait, sorry, it was... I feel like we just saw like a million moves. Okay, I think a million moves happened in 2 seconds, and looks like Hikaru ended up with an extra queen. Let's see, we have Hans on Twitch. He's looking to convert this. He's got an extra pawn, knight versus bishop. Objectively might be a draw, but in practice I think you rarely hold these positions just because they're so tough. The knight comes to f4, and the king starts to round up the pawn. Oh, now he's putting his king on f4. Now there's knight f2 check. Yeah, I think Hans is playing... no, Hans is playing black here. I'm pretty sure. Okay, but what to do? Yeah, Friars, I played Levy once, actually, in a I Am Norm round-robin tournament in Canada a couple of years ago. Okay, last game of the round. Lolo against Donchenko. Very, very strong German blitzer. And looks like white has an extra piece. Draw by repetition. Oh, that doesn't seem like that was an intentional draw. Wow. Well, I guess he just has been moving around for quite some time. Okay, round 3 underway. Going to be seeing games here in just a sec. And okay, now we have some GM versus GM clashes. We have Hikaru against Indian Lad. This is Sunil Duth, really strong Indian player, who's just another one of these like up and coming players. I think he's actually a little bit older than some of the juniors, but still very, very strong. And we have Danya against Maxim Chagayev here, who is also a very, very good player. Let's watch Danya. I don't think we've seen Danya play yet, and he's playing a King's Indian, so I'm personally invested in this game. And he's playing his kind of his pet system here. I think he's played this line many, many times, where you get kind of more open positions compared to the more blocked Mardel Plata variations. Danya, of course, very, very good in these kinds of positions. He's using the bishop on the diagonal. Now he's running this a-pawn that can always create some tension on the queen side. Okay, now bishop e6, targeting this one. I mean, in general, as a d4 player, I've always liked these positions from white's point of view, and I do think white is better, but that doesn't necessarily mean everything in a blitz game. And in fact, I would say what's more important is like knowing the structure and knowing what are your typical ideas. So that's why like white might have like a small advantage, but it might be very hard to prove in fast chess. And now queen b8, we see this queen maybe wanting to slide into b4, and then maybe a4 here at some point. Okay, white played f4, knight on h5 was attacked, he brings it back, knight f6, bishop f3, queen b4. And the problem is for white, at some point you have to find some kind of e5 or c5 break. And of course, this tends to be very, very concrete. And so if you miss your chance, sometimes black just gets nice counterplay in the position, and that's it. So bishop d4, keeping control, rook d8, king h1. Very typical grandmaster move, just improving the position of the king, watching out for any tactics on the dark squares. And okay, finally black commits here with c5. And asking the question if white wants to trade, give up the dark squared bishop, which would be a big concession, or drop back. I would imagine white wants to drop back. I don't think he wants to give up the bishop, but it's kind of a concrete thing, because if you drop back, then there's this knight on c3 that might be hanging. So he does take, and you would think knight d5 would be the follow-up, but honestly I feel like black is totally fine in that endgame. Queen takes d2, bishop takes, oh wait, hold on, there's knight d5, knight takes f6, so knight d5 black would have to take. But then again, I think black is totally fine with the opposite color bishops. So let's see. Yeah, hasn't done anything yet. Maybe he's considering something else, but what exactly, right? Knight on c3 is hanging. Rook c1 feels just like a passive move. Then the knight is even pinned. You can go like start going a4 and really harassing. Okay, knight b5. Okay, this is what I was thinking about. Makes sense. Putting pressure on c7. And if black discoordinates the rooks, then we might see some e5 at some point. So I think this is kind of what white is playing for. So possibly rook d7 here is a better way of defending this pawn. But we'll see. Danya has an extra minute on the clock. He trades queens. Now rook e7, e5 I think is annoying. So rook c8 just gets off of the d file altogether. That makes sense because rook d7, you're also kind of locking in your own bishop. There might be some f5 somewhere or something. I don't know. Rook c8, knight a7. Okay, imagine this rook is going to 8. Oh, but rook a8, there's e5. You do have to be careful. So you might play just rook b8. Yeah, just safer. Now I imagine white is not going to want to keep the knight on a7 for very long. Would make sense to drop back and, okay, kind of tacit draw offer, right? If you repeat, we'll repeat. If not, then, okay, we play on, but, you know, white hasn't really lost anything. So rook c8, and Danya's trying to figure it out. Now he's going to, I think and look for a way to play on. After all, it is blitz, and yeah, he's up a minute. So objective evaluation, like, is not the only thing that counts here. So yeah, rook e7, just keep the game going. Now white goes a4. h5. And looks like, yeah, we just have another kind of typical endgame grind. Exactly the kind of position we might see on something like Endgame Sensei. Although there's more pieces on the board here. We usually don't get something so lively, unfortunately. So, Rig b8. But now it's tough for white because the time is ticking down. You know, objectively the position might be fine, but it's hard to not blunder something when you're just on the 1 second increment. And black has many pieces, and objectively I think at this point black is starting to have a very, very nice position. Bishop b7 here, and yeah, white needs to now do something to avoid just losing the whole center. Okay, so he sacked a pawn, the rook has come in. Now black is a healthy pawn up, although the queen side is very weak, so it's not exactly the easiest pawn to convert. The nice thing is that in the future, black does have a very mobile majority on the king side. So if you can just somehow shut down white's play, then he would be in total control. You know, you go bishop d4, oh, there we go. f5, rook comes in, and so on. So c6, and okay, he's given up a pawn, but now he's gone the rook to b3, but allowing white to take on d4, and well, okay, he's got an extra pawn, but I don't think he's going to be able to win this one. Yeah, it feels like usually these pawns get traded off for one another. He's going to try to kind of avoid that, but objectively feels like white should be totally fine. Yeah, just concretely should be okay. All right, c6. And yeah, I don't think black is getting more than 3 versus 2 on the king side, which is just going to be a pretty simple draw, given that white's king can just move back and forth here. And he does have some... It's not over. Let me just say it's definitely not over, because the fact that he hasn't been able to trade off this pawn yet means that, okay, we're not there. And so Danya's, of course, he can always go here and take, right? That's always on the table, and at some point he might do that. But still, white has to figure out, you know, still has to make some moves before that happens. But yeah, at a certain point, black is going to kind of run out of ideas. Very nice construction where the king just can't approach white's rook. I think this is kind of a nice thing for white. Okay, finally we do get this 2 versus 1 endgame. Yeah, Daniel will try to win. I think we'll switch away from this one now because, okay, objectively should be a draw. And yeah, there's probably some other games going on. Let's see, Hikaru. Hikaru not clearly winning. In fact, black was the one who just played g5, in fact, trying to create some chances of his own. Knight b4 takes, queen h6. Okay, this is just going to be a total scramble. Wow, 2 seconds for each side. They're trading queens, and yeah, we're gonna see a draw. Okay, so Hikaru held to the draw. Let's see here. Danya, he's still trying to push this. Okay, we have a couple final games going on, but I think let's stick with this one. We're gonna see white defend this very, very easily. In fact, here you don't even need to bother with the fillet or defense. When you have a knight pawn, you can actually just stick to passive defense, and right, we're just gonna see a draw by repetition here. Okay, so the top 2 seeds get held to draws. Here we have some final endgames. This is a classic, knight and 2 pawns against the rook. Supposed to be a draw, but sometimes the pawns do win. Ooh, here we go. Looks like we are okay, struggling a little bit. Yeah, this is just the last part where you just have to figure out the tempos. He does very nice. Bravo, bravo, fantastic, fantastic. Everyone should be able to do that on 1 second increment, everyone. Okay, so that's the end of round 3. Next round starting soon. We have Meshanik, Alexei Sarana in first place, Benjamin Bach, Nihal Sarin. Okay, let's check out some of these other guys here. How about Sarana against Penguin GM? This is a really interesting pairing as well. Then we also have Rasmus Svane against Nihal Sarin. We have Hrant from Chessmood against Andrейkin on YouTube. Parhamov against Big Fish. Jeffrey Zhang against Aryan Tari. Amin Tabatabai against Brandon Jacobson. Just huge, huge clashes on every single board here. And okay, here we see Penguin playing his usual Queen's Gambit declined as someone that's prepared for him in classical chess. This is just like his main repertoire. This is just like his absolute main openings. I really like that he doesn't usually have a lot of blitz openings. He just plays the same stuff in blitz, bullet, hyper bullet, classical, doesn't matter. Okay, this is a kind of a new-ish line, right? This is generally breaking some opening principles of pushing your pawns too early. But here white is specifically trying to take space on the king side. Definitely don't try this at home kind of strategy, I would say. Bishop takes h6. Bishop d3, and okay, now we have a very imbalanced position where black has the 2 bishops, but kind of a wrecked structure. And if white can one day like trade off these light square bishops in kind of a favorable fashion, then white would have a very nice strategic advantage. But we're kind of a long way away from white being able to achieve that. So queen b6, putting a little pressure on b2. And as we can see, it's kind of hard for white's queen to defend everything. So he has to make a small concession here, rook b1. It feels like, okay, no problem, right? But now he's given up all chances of castling queenside, which maybe was kind of in white's plans. Usually is when they're playing like the super aggressive kingside pawn push stuff. Okay, so f3, knight e2. And black here has played c5. Very typical idea when your opponent has kind of advanced a lot of their pawns is to just try to open up the center, open up some lines. Especially given that black is an unopposed dark sword bishop, it makes sense to try and open up this bishop as much as possible. Okay, now black castles. Probably going to go put his king on h8 soon. So Penguin Jam representing North Korea there. It's cool. I didn't realize he was traveling. Okay, and we get queen b3, c4, and queen trade. And there we see white playing bishop f5. And yeah, I don't think we're going to see black making this exchange. In fact, we might just see both sides playing with the tension here. But this is something where, yeah, it feels like neither side really wants to take. If white takes, that strengthens black's center. If black takes, then white gets to attack this d5 pawn for the rest of the game, and it's going to be very unpleasant to defend. White also gets this open g file, so he does take. Maybe he felt like he was not going to have any options as the knight is coming to f4. And now very sharp move b5. So we see kind of typical chess strategy here. It's like when you're worse strategically from a static point of view, like your pawns are fixed on bad squares, you need to do something to change the situation, something dynamic. That's exactly what we see black playing for here. Now bishop b4, maybe rook e8 makes sense. And how is white going to defend this e3 pawn? If black is able to take this one, this is going to be huge issues for white here. So now it's white that has to kind of figure out some dynamics, because it's really feels like it might be on the verge here. And suddenly white's pawns also start to look super, super weak. Now you can go king e2, but then, okay, begs the question why he didn't play king e2. Last move also allows c3, so not exactly what you want to do. He does play king e2 after a bit of time. And yeah, it feels like black is the one that's kind of playing for the win here. He's really thinking. He's really trying to figure out, because I mean c3 looks really natural. I think on c3 White was going to go king d3, but he goes rook a5 instead, going after this knight. Okay, white throws in rook g1 check. Now the knight has to figure out whether it wants to drop back or come up. Knight c7 intuitively feels very risky because you might not make it out, right? The knight is going to be stuck behind enemy lines here. And on rook c8, what exactly is the plan? Or rook, okay, rook here also. I feel like something was missed here. Maybe he wanted to sack the knight with knight e6 on rook c8, but against rook e7, really doesn't feel like enough. And yeah, okay, should be winning now for black. He has 20 seconds, but okay, this is Penguin Jam we're talking about. 20 seconds for him, it's like, you know, probably like refreshing his water. Rook g2, rook a2. And yeah, especially with the 1 second increment, should be enough time. Okay, e4. Yeah, white is trying, but you can just take this one. And rook d8 check, king c6. The king is escaping, and now black's pieces are too strong. It's probably going to be just resigns here soon. Oh, whoops, there was a mate on the board, but he takes this one. Knight d4. Yeah, as long as black doesn't just like hang something here, it should win. Okay, just gives the rook to be to keep it simple. But you know what, it's kind of going Serrano putting up very, very good resistance against black's low clock here, because it actually somehow just wasn't that easy to consolidate. But now e-pawn is hanging, and how to defend it. If black can just take the e-pawn with the rook, then I think now he should be in control. The two pieces here are strong. The king is active, and black is up a pawn. Should be enough to win, but 4 seconds, he's really gotta turn on the hyper speed here. Okay, going after the b pawn. Now just needs to make sure that, yeah, rook c8 is dealt with. And he was willing to trade rooks there. I think he had to. Wow, rook d4. Oh man, the pieces are, they feel so tangled. I'm shocked black hasn't hung something yet. Really amazing. But oh, rook takes. Oh, he missed this one. There it is. Oh man. Oh man. Wow, the resistance though from Serrano there was very impressive. I would have blown the win like 10 times in that sequence. Brutal. Okay, now trying to win with the rook and knight, but this isn't, honestly, compared to the rook and bishop versus rook endgame, here it's really easy for the rook to hold, because the point is, even if you make a ton of progress and you get the king on the back rank and your king and knight look active, there's always like a defense for white. Like unless white puts the rook on a really bad square, there's always a defense. So it's really not hard to find it. You're either giving a check or you're pinning the knight. And the two things you're trying to do with the rook. Let's jump to another game here. It looks like we have 100 endgames you must know on the board, and Dragalko against Grischuk. This will be a quick draw. Why are there 2 title Tuesdays? Give more chances. Now the first one is earlier, so players on the other side of the world can play at a slightly earlier time, and then we have this one for the West side. Okay, some more games here. Looks like this one is done. And I think the final game is this one we've been following. Penguin, he's still trying to win. We can understand why, right? He was like so completely winning in this game, but no, he's not able to convert it. Wow, excellent defense there from Serrano. Really nerves of steel. Okay, guys, that's the end of round 4. There's going to be a quick break right now. We've got a number of players on a perfect score still that we'll see in the next round. We have Andrinkin, Becca 95, Benjamin Bach, Fedoseev, Ariantari, and I am Kasparov, who is different Kasparov, not the world champion Garry Kasparov, nor the strong grandmaster Sergei Kasparov. That's an I am from Poland with the handle Kasparov with a C. And then we have Amin Tabatabaye also on 4-4, and then a bunch of players on 3.5. Okay, guys, quick break, and we will be right back with round 5. Stay tuned. Alrighty, folks. And we are about to see the start of round 5 here. You can see the list of players and the standings there. And yeah, the games are about to start. Actually, the games are already underway. I thought they were about to start. Here we have Becca 9-5 against Andrejkin. I believe this is Grandmaster Inčić from Serbia. Been living in the States for some time. Very, very strong blitz player. Andrejkin, of course, needs basically no introduction. Also, super, super strong blitzer. And yeah, over 3,000 here. Playing black. We have also Big Fish Fedoseev against I Am Kasparov. Hikaru against Benjamin Bach. Maybe this is a game worth checking out. I haven't seen too much of Hikaru yet. Of course, he's probably streaming, as is Benjamin, so you guys can go check out their points of view as well. And then we have Nihal Sarin against Penguin GM, another fantastic matchup. Yeah. Can a player do both title Tuesday tournaments? Yeah, I think, in fact, Hikaru won both of them, right? Maybe more than once even. Yeah, you can definitely play both. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, Hikaru just made a huge move, d5, which is a big pawn break. I'm sure he's calculated something concrete here. Let's see how this game might play out. Black probably needs to take this pawn, otherwise everything is just collapsing. But the issue is whether to take with the c pawn or with the e pawn. C pawn somehow feels more natural. I'm wondering what exactly Hikaru has in mind. Okay, I guess we're about to find out. Maybe knight d4. He can take this one right away, but that doesn't feel too convincing because it feels like black center will be quite strong there. He also has bishop takes f6 as a move to get black to play queen takes f6, and we also have knight d4. So lots of options. He does just go c takes b5, but yeah, again, kind of feel like this is totally fine for black. Now knight e4. And still very double-edged, and white has this idea to go like knight d4, knight c6. That, yeah, might be playing for here. Of course, Hikaru probably knows what he's doing. Now black has to figure out where to put the queen. You can play queen f4, hit this one, and I think white just goes g3, and you got to back it up. But maybe he's thinking about some queen f4, queen d2. Feels a little artificial. Okay, queen e5 this way. White goes g3. And now there's a discovered attack hanging over black's queen here. So it feels like he's not going to... Like knight c6, yeah, very annoying threat. So where's the queen going? Queen g5 feels like the only move here. Unless he has another option. Is he thinking about like some bishop takes b2? Oh, he trades on c1. Oh, bishop takes a3, excuse me. Yeah, I guess we figured it out. And now on knight c6, there's queen takes b2. And black is hitting a lot of stuff. Yeah, sorry, Mr. Artbrains. They asked me to turn the eval bar on. And I am a guest on this channel, so I, of course, obliged. But not to worry, I will still give you my human point of view, which is that bishop takes a3 is a killer move. Fantastic. And... yeah, we can still enjoy the games themselves. Okay, rook f1. And see, like, yeah, the eval bar just doesn't tell the whole story. Yeah, have you believe that black was winning there, and now all of a sudden white is fine. I'll tell you guys one thing. Hikaru usually wins games. So regardless of what the eval bar says, I would put your faith in the white pieces. Okay, looks like he managed to snag the exchange here. Somewhere the tactics did go wrong for Bach. Maybe here he had another move or something, but this knight c6 spotted by Hikaru ends up winning him the exchange. And it's not going to be the easiest position to convert, but he has big time on the clock. And yeah, I don't know, hard to hold these positions when you don't have a lot of time left. Okay, knight takes b5. How's Danya doing? He, I think, is on 3.5 out of 4. And let me see if I can find him in my list of players. I thought he was on 3.5, but I don't quite see him. Oh, sounds like he left. Oh, sorry about that. Bummer. The earlier winners, by the way, for anyone wondering, Dubov won the morning event, and second was Hikaru. Third was Amin Tabatabaye, who's also doing well in this one. But Dubov won the earlier event with 10 out of 11. Insane. Ooh, looks like Hikaru managed to break through here. But still tricky. You can't take, right? Knight e2 check. But rook c8. This is usually a pretty killer plan. That said, not so easy. Still have to figure out a way to mate the king. Now black is turning mate in 1. Has to be careful. Oh boy. Such a crazy position. Ah, rook g5. He found it. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Man, that's not just in Puzzle Rush. You got to find this stuff sometimes. Check and check. King goes back, queen g7, king h5, rook takes g5. Beautiful. Beautiful. Did Dubov beat Hikaru earlier? I actually don't know. I don't know what happened in the earlier tournament. Still some games in this round. Looks like Grischuk is up a piece against Kostyanyuk, and I think should be winning. Oh, Symphonic Knight is saying Dubov did beat Hikaru in the morning. Title Tuesday. That makes sense. Hard to win the event probably without running into Naka. Looks like Grischuk did win this one. Let's see, we have Dretch, Grandmaster Conrad Holt. He's won his game. Andraken, he's still playing here, but oh no, there's been a lot more moves in this game. Oh my god. Oh my god. What happened? Oh no. Dude, the guy just had a queen for the rook the whole time. Like 30 moves ago, he had like a queen for rook, and then Andraken ends up winning the game. So he wins the rook. Normally this is resigns. Or wins the queen, excuse me. Normally this is just game over. Wow, even queen c7. Oh no. And then he's like, I gotta work, figure out how to break this fortress. And he slowly does it, gets the pass pawn. Feels like it should be winning for white. Oh my god, blundered. Brutal. Can't even make a draw. Just black has an extra rook now. Unbelievable. Okay, so last game. Karina Chess against well played 2015. Feels like this should be winning for black. Oh, it's a little tricky because it's the wrong color rook pawn, so you can't trade so easily. But that's it, game over. He figures it out, putting the king in the corner. Now there's no stalemate. Had black played earlier this one, then white takes and draw on the board. Okay, round 6 just started. We have Andraken against Fedoseev. Rasmus Svani against Hikaru. Hess against Nihal Sarin. So top 2 players are Andraken and Fedoseev on 5 out of 5. Okay, so let's watch the leaders. And this started off as Slav defense. Knight f3, knight f6, queen c2, g6. So queen c2, g6 takes, and white takes on d5. We get kind of a delayed exchange Slav. And now both sides are just developing their pieces. It's an interesting structure. It's like, okay, exchange Slav, but black has fianchetto the bishop. Probably not actually the best square for the bishop in the structure, but one that does lead to at least slightly more dynamic positions. Oh, there was still bishop d3 check there. Yeah, thanks, Thinker. That makes sense. I guess black just wanted to do it in a different move order. Okay, knight e4, typical idea here for black, trying to trade off a minor piece, and white says go ahead and take, and go bc, and he'll try to use this pawn. But knight a5, a nice move. Immediately, like, we see what squares black is interested in fighting for, right? Rook c8, I think should be coming next, yeah. And but okay, the problem for black now is that this bishop is really restricted. It's just not doing anything here. White's bishop, I would say, is a much more effective piece in the position. That said, it's not all about the bishop. So a6, now maybe we'll see b5 and knight c4. Oh, just knight c4 first, no b5. b5, maybe he didn't like queen a3, and then you can't play knight c4 without losing that one. Not sure. But knight c4, queen b3, and queen d7. And, okay, I mean, I don't know. Generally, I feel like white is a little better in these kinds of positions, but it's not much. It's still very much a tough strategic battle from here. a5. So we'll see how Andreykin plays this one. I'm always fascinated with how, because this is the kind of position that I would get in my game, and then I would do something bad, and then I would get worse, and then I would lose. Whereas these guys, they tend to do things that are good, if you guys catch the difference there. And then they end up creating some play, creating some pressure, and winning their games sometimes. But I don't know. Both players are good, so who knows what can happen. Why is Hikaru not first? He was held to a draw earlier. I forget by who, but he's on 4.5 out of 5. Half a point out of first. Okay, so black does go push the b pawn, queen a4, queen b7, now he takes, but it feels like, oh, black takes with the pawn, huh? I thought he could take with the rook, actually. I mean, it looks like queen e8 check, bishop f8, and bishop h6. But here there's rook c8. But instead there is, probably some other move like knight e5. Yeah, okay. So dc, rook a1, bishop e4. And now queen a5. And allowing black to take. I mean, black has now won the two bishops, but can give it back and just take on f3 and really weaken white's king. I'm not sure if he wants to do that necessarily. At this point, what I think white is playing for is essentially just trying to trade pieces, maybe even bishop e5, and then eventually just putting pressure on and trying to win this a pawn. But yeah, feels like with this light scored bishop, black should be kind of okay. Though, not so easy to play the position. h6, Andreykin also minute up on the clock. Big Fish offered a draw with that move. Andreykin declines the draw and just goes bishop g3. So just barely improving the position. You know, just making his king slightly safer. But now rook f6, black is going after this one, and white really doesn't want to play f4 here. But he might have to. So black now getting some nice counterplay. But notice the bishop on g7, still a big problem for black, because it's just not really doing anything. If this bishop was able to activate, I think that would really change a lot. And then we see white playing f5, opening up his bishop. That makes sense. Now g5. Yeah, very double-edged position. Still feels like it could go either way. King h2, rook c6, queen d5. Yeah, it feels like white's taking some space here. Rook a5. Now maybe he wants rook c5. Just drops back, queen e4. And yeah, like rook's lifted on the 5th rank, but where is it going? There we go, rook c5. Finally taking over. Can he take on c4 here? Yeah, if he can take this pawn, then it's just game over. Because white's majority is going to be a lot stronger. I think you can even just go for the endgame here. Go rook c8, rook a8. Start pushing the c pawn, and black's bishop is never going to make it out alive. Interesting, he puts his rook in front of the pawn. And now black is kind of fully blockaded. Feels like it should be winning for white. Wow, pawn runs to c7. No, he's going e4 and d5. I'm surprised he let the bishop out, to be honest. But I guess he felt like, yeah, it was time to just push the pawns. I mean, if the pawns can break through, then white just wins, of course. Okay, rook f5. He doesn't seem to want to go d6. I guess this one. Now rook c8. Oh, rook e8. Oh, very good. Yeah, just promoting. Very nice. So Andreykin wins this one. He's going to be the clear leader with 6 out of 6. Hikaru already won. He's on 5.5. Let's see. Robert Hess against Nihal Sarin. Oh, let's go to the live position. Oh boy, 3 pieces for the rook. Gotta be totally winning here for white, but he has 3 seconds. And the problem with having more pieces than your opponent is that you have more pieces to like move. So it can be a problem in time scrambles. But I think he can manage from here. Now once you get, the nice thing about passed pawns is that then you don't have to really think about it. You just push the pawn forward as long as you control all the squares. So well done to Robert there, taking out one of the best juniors in the world. Okay, looks like Sarin here is putting on the final touches against Ariantari. He wins this one. Amin, the 3rd place finisher from earlier, he is up a pawn and about to be 2 pawns up against Conrad Holt. So he is definitely winning this one. Really nothing black can do. These pawns, they basically just push themselves. Bishop d4 here, and yeah, just GG. All right, and then we have Parhamov playing against Rybka, 1989. Wow. Okay. The classic Rybka. Uh-oh. Oops. That's the rook. That's the rook. King d4, rook e4 check. And yeah, Parham is going to be winning this one. We got round 7 coming up. So Andreykin alone at the top. Then we have, oh wait, Ariantari won that game against, ooh, I forgot who he's playing. Okay, I got the colors flipped there. So Ariantari is on 5.5, Hikaru is on 5.5, Amin 5.5, and Robert Hess 5.5. Okay, last game in this round, and looks like it is over. I think white flagged here. Next round starting soon, guys. Round 7. And I'm guessing we'll see Hikaru versus Andreykin. Just waiting for my games to load up here. Yep, so we have Hikaru Andreykin, we have Hess against Tabatabaye, We have Dubov against Aryan Tari. Very interesting matchup. These guys have both been, likely. Actually, I'm not sure about Tari, but he probably worked with Magnus at some point. So two of Magnus's seconds playing against each other. Why don't we watch this game for a bit? Because this is Dubov, the winner from earlier. And it looks like we have a very kind of original Sicilian. Knight c3, e6, d4 in this position. I've seen this done against d6. You go d4. This is actually known as the Magnus system because he played this one and won some games with it. But against e6, this is kind of new. This is fresh territory, I think. Knight c6, queen goes to d3, knight f6, bishop f4, e5, bishop g5, bishop b4, knight g2, d5. Yeah, very original play here in this opening. Eval blog going crazy, saying white is already winning. My guess is, I guess d5 maybe not the best move. White castles. And, oops, looks like that wasn't the move that white had to play. I think probably e takes d5 and then something, right? But I'm sure black had some idea there. Now, d4, knight d5, man, the position is super messy. Bishop e7, classy move. White can take the bishop, but then loses their very strong knight on d5, which has made a couple of moves already. White's other option is to take on f6 and then leave the knight on d5. I feel like this is a classic approach as well. If white does nothing, then there's knight takes d5, which is a very unfortunate threat because the bishop on g5 would be hanging there. So takes. And I imagine we'll see, got to see king b1 here at some point, just getting the king off of the dark squares. And then, okay, I mean, it feels like black is going to have healthy squares for all their pieces. We're gonna have some opposite sides castling. We'll see how this one plays out. So knight g3. Aryan not wasting time with king b1. He's just trying to activate his knight. Maybe knight h5. But then bishop g5 check. It feels like this knight on h5 is gonna be lonely. Queen f3. Okay, opening up the square or the diagonal for the bishop. Black does go bishop g5. h4 and okay, you can take this one, but then after queen h5, it's going to be a big problem. So I don't think he's going to take this one. But where to put the bishop? You got to choose a diagonal. Oh, thanks, Joe Sweden. That's very nice. Much appreciated. Bishop f4. Allowing white to take. He doesn't take, though. I think on knight f4 takes, queen takes, you got to be worried about stuff like queen a5 and knight b4. Engine doesn't care, but again, this is what I would be worried about. Instead, we see knight h5. And now rook c8. So Dubov is saying, just go ahead and take this bishop. I don't want to see this bishop ever again in my life. But I have a feeling white's going to go g3 and condemn the bishop to the h6 square. And then maybe g4 and g5. We'll see. Okay, Aryan going a bit into the tank here. Meanwhile, let's just check in with, okay, plays bishop c4. Let's check in with Hikaru and Andreykin. Okay, they've made a lot of moves. They're currently sitting in this position. Looks like Hikaru is up a couple pawns and just played h3, looking to go g4. Yeah, this feels pretty much busted for Dmitry here, because if he doesn't have any real play on the queen side, if he has no threats, then it's just a matter of time before white opens up the king and breaks through. He does have this nice knight on e4, but one good piece does not hold the position. Sometimes one bad piece can spoil a position, but one good piece does not always hold a position. But we'll see. Queen b6, g4. And, okay, rook takes h3. think white is just taking here, or queen g2, either way. But queen g2 now, of course, is a monster threat. Oh, sorry, not queen g2, because that would have hung the b3 pawn. That would have been bad. So yeah, queen is staying on c2. And now it's time to start looking for mate, like rook c8 check, maybe f6 somewhere. Feels like, yeah, oh, there we go. That's just simple. Rook is just lost. So we knew the moves. We knew the moves. We just didn't know in what order. But that's going to be game over. So Hikaru wins, overtakes the leader. And depending on the result of these board 2 and 3 games, we'll see if we have one or more leaders after this round. Okay, let's get back to Tari. So let's see what happened in this game. Bishop c4, bishop b3. I mean, it makes sense. You develop the light score bishop to kind of oppose black's strong bishop on e6 so that you never get harassed on the light scores yourself. But now a5 takes bishop c4, h5, h6, e4, undermining the light score bishop. Dubov sacks the piece. Oh, but he gets knight e5, so he gets it back. And now queen side has been opened up. White's king here looks very, very exposed. Knight d5, queen b7, rook d4. Okay, this is the live position now. Oh, now Engine is saying white is completely winning. I think black did have something there because white's king looked very weak. But now after the smoke is cleared, white's just up 2 pawns. Still going to be tricky here, but this knight on d5, I like how Dubov just throws another pawn, he just takes it. Wow, knight d5. Aryan found that very, very quickly. If he didn't have this knight d5 here, he's kind of done for with the mate. But knight d5, queen d4, oh, queen b2, and now white is just safe. He can give the queen here. Queen a1, oh no! Oh, I spoke a little too soon. Oh, I was gonna say he can just give the queen and he's fine, but no, this was a problem. This was a real problem. Man, look at these tactics. Knight c4. Brutal. Brutal. Yeah, Aryan ran out of time to hold the position. So f4. F4 was maybe too much. This is maybe too much. I feel like he's good here. He probably has to play rook d4, something like this, and just cover. But dang, man, blitz is not easy. Who would have thought? So Dubov wins a huge game there to reach 6 out of 7. Looks like Amin won his game, so he'll be playing Hikaru in the next round. And draw. On this one, let's see, we have Harant against Fedoseev. Okay, very drawish queen endgame. I don't think we'll stick to this one too much. Queen e3 check, probably not worth it. Let's see, then we have Indian Lat against Dropstone. Ooh, what is happening here? Opposite color bishops with rooks. Black's king a little bit more active. So this a-pawn's gonna be running down the board. Yeah, it feels like white is in some trouble here, just from practical point of view. Now the king is stuck on the back rank. This is not good for white. A3. White needs to just start pushing the pawn, of course, but black's rook gets behind. Now he's gonna push a2. Bishop c4. White is creating some counterplay. Now how to evacuate the king from a1? Yeah, this is the key question. I guess black was going to go rook b2 there. And okay, looks like white found a way to give the bishop for the pawn. And now objectively should be a draw. We'll see if black can find a way to keep the bishop. I'm not sure if he can on 2 seconds. Oh, don't flag. Oh no. Oh, he just lost on time. He must still be okay here. But yeah, bummer. Oh, and round 8 is already started. Okay. So we have Amin against Hikaru, d4 f5. And Hikaru playing Leningrad Dutch. You know, I feel like I haven't seen Hikaru play this one in a while, but this used to be a very serious opening for him. Like, he would play this in classical chess and against like the world's best players. And it was always kind of risky, but he made it work. And looks like he's still willing to play it, especially in blitz. You're trying to win. Looks like white is repeating here, and no repetition. Hikaru doesn't care. +1, it doesn't matter. +1, +2. Yeah, Hikaru's not going to give you a quick draw. He's like, bishop g8. He'll play knight b8. He's like, look, man, whatever we have to do to play a game, it's going to happen. Yeah, no, Leningrad Dutch, definitely very playable opening. I've never been a fan of the Dutch myself because I feel like strategically it's quite risky. You weaken your king side from the very beginning. And even if white doesn't get like an advantage out of the opening, the structure just kind of internally just contains these risks. As soon as white plays e4, things always start to open up. But a lot of players, it works for them. It totally works for them. But yeah, here I would definitely rather have white shoes. But of course, not so easy. Can we watch Dubov? Yeah, absolutely. We can come back to this one. Here we have Dubov against Parham. And these guys are both, I think, half a point out of first. So they're both looking to win here. What's going on here? Okay, it feels like black is a kind of a healthy pawn up. I don't know how this happened, but very healthy extra pawn here. I don't see any particular activity here. I'm sure Dubov is gonna come up with something, but it's hard. Feels like everything is kind of defended here in black's position. Bishop takes f6, knight takes f6. So white has to come up with something. Knight e3 feels like a very natural move, just hitting the bishop, maybe targeting the f5 square. And yeah, what is black going to do on knight e3? Because you don't really want to move your bishop off of this diagonal, but you also don't want to give up knight f5 if you don't have to, I would think. So my guess is bishop e6, and just hope that white doesn't have anything. Oh, bishop e4, of course. With tempo. Excuse me, guys. With tempo is always better. Bishop e4, and now you can move the rook somewhere to like d8. And not worry about it. Okay, rook e8. He does have to be careful, actually. There may be some tactics with some rook d7 and bishop takes f6. So now rook d7 would definitely not work. This takes, and this one is defended. So let's get back to the game. Rook f8, now knight h4. So Dubov playing for the f5 square. Trades off the light square bishops. And yeah, just a very, very healthy extra pawn for black. And now that the bishops have been traded off, I feel like the queen has to take over this long diagonal. I mean, this just feels like mandatory. Mandatory for black. He starts with g6, taking the f5 square. King g1. Do I ever play Tuttle Tuesday? I've played quite a few, but I definitely don't play every week. Lately, I've been just training a lot for classical tournaments, and for me, blitz is not really a part of that. Unless I'm specifically like playing like some positions out, or maybe trying like some very specific openings out in blitz. Yeah, I usually don't incorporate it into my training too much. Because for me, blitz and classical are just very, very different. You know, when you're playing classical chess, it's like you have to think a lot, and when you're playing blitz, you have to think less and just play very quickly. No, it's not that I don't like blitz. I do like blitz quite a lot. It's just that, you know, if you're focusing on classical, then it kind of runs counter, you know. Like the folks that run the marathons are different than the folks doing the 100-meter sprints, right? In fact, some would say totally different skill sets. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Justin. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then people say like, oh well, you see the same players at the top in Blitz and Classical, and that's actually not totally true. You have some players, yeah, like Hikaru, that are good in everything. Magnus, he's good at everything. But not everyone. A lot of these top guys, in the Blitz events, they're, let's say, in the top 100, top 50, but they're not in like, top 10 in the Classical, right? And yeah, we don't always see like Caruana, Aronia, and Giri like in these events. Oh, that's why Fruja's not playing online anymore. I mean, I haven't heard that. Is that something you've heard specifically? Because that's kind of interesting. Faruja used to play like all the time, and yeah, now it feels like I've been seeing him less. Okay, looks like Dubov has finally managed to create some real counterplay here, and now he seems to be no longer worse. Taking the G-pawn. Oh, and we're going to get my favorite endgame, which is Rook Knight and 3 passed pawns against Rook Knight and 3 passed pawns, which is very exciting. We'll see who's are faster. Faruja's disappeared with the candidates upcoming. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I mean, now that you've qualified for the candidates. Oh, looks like Black got there first. But takes h7. It's not over. Oh, but the knight is trapped. King f6, guys. King f6. No. What? I mean, okay, fine. I guess you can just run them off it. But why not king f6? The knight was caught. Parham. What are you doing? I mean, he's still winning, but I don't know. King f6. Just take the knight. And now, okay, it's still winning because this knight has a very hard time of dealing with the a-pawn. But it's seconds. Who knows what can happen? Yeah, Fabi. I mean, I didn't mean to say those guys aren't good at speed chess. I just mean that a lot of the top Blitz and Bullet players are not actually the top Classical players. Okay, looks like Black did win this one. Let's go back to Hikaru. And oh wow, this game has been a big fight. Looks like Hikaru's got his extra pawn. And with rooks on the board, it's definitely not any kind of easy draw or anything like that. But White does have a kind of a nice blockade going on the light squares. Problem is he's down to 3 seconds. Really hard to play this position on 1 second, Okay, now Black has to make sure he doesn't self-mate with King G1, but yeah, he's looking to at some point actually you just take and you go G2. No, but then White will always be able to trade off the pawn. Hey, Kark, yeah, we can definitely check out Gotham at some point. I would have to find his game, but yeah, for sure. Goes to, oh, rook takes b6. Oh, very nice find. Oh wow, look at that. Because if White hadn't done that, if he had just traded rooks here, then he's dead lost. Because Black just holds on to the pawn and that's it. Just can't do nothing. He takes here. Now if Black was to take the rook is not in time to stop. The king and rook are not in time to stop the a-pawn. Black would have to give up the rook and it would be a draw. So Black keeps the bishop, but yeah, White should have enough play here. And yeah, should just be theoretical draw. It doesn't even need counterplay, just needs to make sure that he doesn't get mated. It's not an easy draw, but I think he he should be holding it. Yeah, that was really smart from Amin. Very, very good defense. Yeah. Oh, is Farouja playing the Grand Chess Tour? That would certainly make sense. It's a very high-level event. Yeah, now at any point, black can just take this pawn, but of course Hikaru is looking for more. So much more he's willing to just play. And the guy could have made a draw, right? It's just so much more he keeps playing rook and bishop against queen. That's really funny. Okay, let's see. So this game ends in a draw. So there's going to be a number of players on 7 points. Some more games ongoing. Let's see. Looks like Igor Lissi managed to win. Wow. 2 queens from Penguin Jam. Game over here. Just going to wait for the list here to reload. How about NME Rosenberg? Okay, looks like he drew this one. Yeah, a lot of these games are ending. In fact, I'm not even sure if we have any live games left at all. So far, every game I've clicked on has been over. Who's my favorite gem? I don't know. I have a lot of favorites. I like Magnus. I like Ivanchuk. I like Aronian, Kramnik. All right, guys. It looks like the round is done. So we're gonna have a quick break here, 5 minutes, and we'll be back with the final 3 rounds of Title Tuesday. We have Andreykan, Hikaru, Param, Amin, and Grandmaster Plati 3. I think that's Alan Pichot, if I'm not mistaken, on 7 out of 8. And yeah, we should have a very, very exciting finish. Dubov, lots of players still lurking in the background. All right, folks, we will be back in just a few. Alrighty, folks, we are back. Round 9 has just gotten underway. We have Hikaru against Parham on board 1. Let's see who else we have. We have Andraken against Amin Tabatabaye, Bogdan Diak against Plati 3, and Hans Niemann against Dubov. Another very, very exciting game. Let's see what happened in this one. This looks like it was a d4, d5, knight c3, bishop f5, f3, of course. Classic opening here. Early h4, knight f4, and Han seems to, wow, look at the sack. Knight takes d5. I didn't even realize he was down a piece. And this is what happened. He sacked the piece, and now going for big initiative. And oh man, this is looking very dangerous for black here. Queen b5 check. He wants to take on b7, take on f7. That would be checkmate. But what to do? What to do? Maybe king e7 and take knight d7? No, just knight d7 right away. Yeah, that makes sense. So black has to give back the piece here, but we'll hope to survive and trade off queens, and then should be okay actually. If he can handle this one. Okay, looks like we are going into the end game there, and feels like white should be doing just fine, but I think black has solved pretty much most of their problems there. Let's watch Hikaru, because this game is looking very, very interesting. Let's see, what did he do? Did he do full hippo here? Bishop b2, d3. Takes. Yeah, he just went full hippopotamus structure. And now h4, and yeah, not so easy to deal with these pawns advancing on the king side. King f1 brings the second rook, and then the king drops back. Wow, very very original way to castle the king. But now both rooks are up on the queen side here and ready to start firing. h5 maybe. So it goes e4, queen c7. Takes h5. Yeah, now white just looks absolutely crushing. I mean, the problem for black is just no counterplay, whereas white is opening up the h file, second rook is coming in, knight h4, knight f5. And yeah, I guess on rook h1, black wanted g6 there, but knight h4 is absolutely killer. And if g6, then I feel like we're just going to see either more sacrifices or rook h6 followed by knight f5. Yeah, exactly, Zafras. Exactly. So Parham in big trouble here. How to defend. Knight g6, white just goes knight f5, rook h1. Okay, knight g6, go rook h1 as well, just trade off the knights, and usually this is super dangerous. Black would have to start running king f8, king e7. I feel like you don't really want to. Yeah, knight f5. Now there is knight f4, but I think white just ignores it. Just rook h1, takes, queen takes, and there's gonna be mate on the h file. So looking super dangerous for black. Yeah, what to do? What to do? This knight on f5 just cuts the king off, right? So it's just like unstoppable mate. Rook h8 coming. So knight f4. I think rook h1. Yep, natural. Fantastic move. And now knight takes h5, queen h5, and that's going to be GG. Yeah, just no defense here for black. Nothing to do. Okay, rook h6. Okay, he's trying to, remember this queen is still hanging. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful queen sack. HG. Now this should be winning for white. He doesn't even have to win immediately. You can just take the knight, and he's just totally... I mean, he has rook and knight for the queen, but this is easy enough. Takes rook h8, very nice. And just immediately breaking through. So very well played by Hikaru there. He goes into the lead. And Draken also won his game. So let's see. Plot e3, he's still in the hunt. If he wins, he'll join the leaders with 8 out of 9. But let's see, you always got extra pawn and some time on the clock. So definitely some very reasonable chances here. But black is active. Black is very, very active here. So it's not going to be easy to break through here. Then we still have Dubov against Hans. Looks like Hans here is actually activating, and he might be winning this one. 92, very nice. And yeah, white just has a much more active king and protected passer, so good chances for Hans here. But let's watch this one, because Plot e3 here might join the leaders. Let me just double check that this is Grandmaster Alan Pichot from Argentina. 87. Now he's got 2 connected passers on the king side, but it's hard to push, and in the meantime black is going after white's pawns in the center. So black is creating counterplay, but we'll see. Uh-oh, he just dropped f2. That was not on purpose. He could have also taken the g3 pawn, but decides not to. Then I think 96. Okay, g4, and yeah, now it looks like black is winning here, but not going to be easy again. Low time, 3 seconds on the clock. I think you always have to be careful when you're the side that's winning, because you're looking for good moves, and looking for good moves often leads to flagging when you have 3 seconds. So you have to be careful with the whole looking for good moves part. Okay, now it's just 2 pawns up for black. But 2 seconds, he really has to make sure not to flag. Okay, c5, rook g1 check. Things are getting very, very hairy. Everything hanging. d6 pawn drops. Oh, is the knight lost? Uh-oh, rook d4 check. Oh, nice find. Knight c3. The knight is gone. Still, you got to hold on to the knight. Oh, and the pawn is dropped. Oh, man. It's just so hard to find that crisp move, you know, in like 3 seconds where you just hold everything together. I'm sure he had a way to keep everything defended and keep his extra pawn and the knight, but now it's, yeah, very likely going to be a draw. But that means that Pichot is not going to be winning this one. Definitely not on the white side here. And okay, even this, like, it looks a little scary, but it's rook d1. And yeah, it's actually very hard for the knight to make real progress here. Okay, this should be drawn. Let's see, Hans and Dubov draw. Grischuk against, I think this is Matthias Blubaum. Looks like Grischuk is, yeah, gonna make the draw here. So a couple games still left. Okay, black winning this one. Here, he's still trying to convert this. Actually, maybe we'll just stick with this one because there's very few games left. We'll see if Dieck can make anything happen here. Oh, very nice. The rook e6. I like that. Move 100. You guys see that? Rook e6. Probably a mouse slip. He's probably trying to go rook e8, but it ends up working out in a nice little stalemate. Okay, next one. Okay, this game is done. I think next round is probably going to be starting soon. Looks like all the games are over. So round 10 is going to be starting momentarily. We have Andreykin and Hikaru on 8 out of 9. And I think they already played. So yeah, now we have Hikaru against Pichot, who ended up drawing that game. Dieck against Andreykin. Fedoseev against Ingic. Kasparov against Hans. And Amin against Rasmus Svaine. So lots of good matchups. Yeah, Symphonic Knight. I was just joking. I think that was very much an intentional rook sack. So Hikaru and Andreykin in the lead. Of course, Hikaru is streaming. You guys can watch his point of view if you would like. Let's see Bogdan Diak against Andreykin. Andreykin is also a streamer, although I don't know if he is currently streaming or not. But yeah, he'll be looking to win this one. This is an interesting opening. Let's see, how did we get here? So Sicilian with e6 and g3, putting the bishop on g2, and now white is basically saying he wants kind of a King's Indian attack type of setup. And so here black kind of adjusts. He goes d6 and e5, just taking some space. White plays knight c3 to start fighting for this square. Knight d5, knight b4, c4, bishop f5, knight e1, castles d3. Yeah, very kind of unusual structure. But to me, it feels like black is absolutely fine, especially after this move, bishop g6. He just wants to play f5. White can start kicking black back a little bit, though, like a3 and then maybe even going f4 somewhere. It's really not so easy, especially white's also going to be playing for this queenside play with b4. So, yeah. Okay, white's spending time here. I'm really surprised he's not just immediately playing a3. To me, this looks like it's just the most natural move in the world. Yeah, okay, he ends up doing it. Knight a6, and now what? There's bishop d2, rook b1 I think is logical, just trying to push b4. You can also go knight c2, maybe getting the knight off the back rank. Yeah, white has a lot of moves to consider. Knight c2, I guess, to me feels like the most natural. To get the knight off the back rank, you support b4. The knight can eventually come to e3, where it looks reasonably placed. They have the exact same rating. That's true, guys. Wow. Battle of the 30-48s here. Insane. So that means the likelihood of a draw is like 99%, if I have my math right. 99% likelihood of a draw, but we'll see if someone can manage to win. So h4, knight c7. Just allowing white to push h5 if he wants. I'm a little surprised by that, but I guess he doesn't seem to think it's a big deal. Bishop just will go back. And now f4. Now this is a very bold advance. And black just takes this one. I think we'll see bishop takes. Unless he's considering to take with the pawn or something and try to push f5. But that seems kind of weakening. So bishop takes f4. Now I imagine black should be playing for the b5 break. Really, I mean, this knight on c7 is not a great piece, so it needs to be activated. Okay, bishop f6 first. That's logical. Improving the bishop, maybe improving the rook next. Okay, white goes h5, bishop f5. Yeah, I kind of feel like black has the more comfortable position. Now white's going for some tactics. Bishop takes d6. But is this going to work out? Because black can take on g3. Yeah, now it's white's king. That's very, very weak, especially on the dark squares. Yeah, don't like how this is trending for white. So we have a position with opposite color bishops. This gives the attacker a lot of pressure. And Andreykin is about a minute ahead on the clock. He's also much more active here with rook a8. Yeah, I think this is extremely dangerous for white here. He might have to try to bail out soon with queen f2, offering the queen trade, and then maybe giving the b pawn at some point. We'll see. Okay, still the problem is the knight, and look at that. Oh, actually, this is such a sick move. Bringing the knight to d6. Actually, this rook on f5 is just like caught. Oh, man. What a nice move. I mean, how many of us would have just played rook e8, like instantly, right? Either rook to e8. But no, it puts the knight there first. Knight comes to d6, knights before rooks, and then the rooks come in. Who won in the morning? In the morning, it was won by Dubov in clear first, and then Hikaru second, Amin Tabatabai third place. Okay, there white goes d4. But now I think knight d6 feels okay. He just takes. Why not knight d6? I guess white was going to maybe sack the exchange and go dc5. So he just takes on d4, but now c5. Now at least the knight doesn't get to d6. White gets to fight against that. Yeah, I think cd4 wasn't the right move. I think he should have just gone knight d6 here, but okay, maybe he felt that position was unclear. But takes c5. d6. And now, now who knows what's going on. I think all three results possible. d7 is a huge threat. Yeah, I still kind of feel like white's king is weak. Okay, g6, hitting the rook. Maybe rook d8 now. Because what else? Okay, knight g7. Now the knight plans to come out this way. So queen f2, offering the queen trade. Not sure if black really wants this one. Okay, he just goes knight takes h5. Yeah, it's like, all right, if you trade queens, then at least I can snag a pawn first. 3 seconds. Ooh, very tough. Rook takes. Interesting exchange sack, but I don't know if this is going to work out. I mean, he's really banking on these pawns, but black can very quickly challenge it. b6, rook d8. Yeah, the question is, can white support the pawns? Okay, bishop h3. Very unclear now. Very, very unclear. d7. Takes. Ooh, the pawns are split. I don't like that. It's hard to see how white is going to kind of break through this dark squared barrier. You know, especially knight on f3. Yeah, it needs to go. Knight e1. Knight d3. He just takes on d7. Yeah, he's willing to give back the exchange, but now he's got a couple extra pawns here. 3 extra pawns for black. They're not the healthiest extra pawns, but there's 3 of them, right? So at some point, one of them has to get pretty healthy. And that's it. Looks like white just resigned. As I mean, I don't know. I feel like you could have played on here, but he realized there's just not much hope. The bishop is secure. The king is active. And yeah, it's just too many pawns. Well done by Andreykin. He wins. Let's see. Hikaru. Hikaru's still playing here. But Hikaru looks better. Yeah, how did he win that? The Battle of the 3048s. Amazing. He must have given everything he had to win that game. Definitely this position, but we actually have a lot more moves. And okay, this is the live position now. And yeah, black just coming in with the rook, picking up this g-pawn, and the knight on e5 is just a very, very strong piece. White's hoping for some checks, but I don't think there's going to be any kind of perpetual here. It's just a matter of time before black picks off the entire king side. Now rook b2, knight c6. Okay, Hikaru going back after what matters here, which is the g-pawn. As long as he can take this one and not allow some insane counterplay, he should win. But yeah, you see, he doesn't want to let the king in, so he brings the rook back. Very, very practical here by Hikaru. And now he's able to win. Okay, he had 2 pawns, he gave one back, but the knight is still in charge. And now the king is coming in, and now I think black is really finally taking over. Still not so easy, struggling a little bit, but yeah, I'm surprised white hasn't just like collapsed here. He's holding really, really well. Okay, but now Hikaru's found nice transition there. Trades the knight for the bishop, rook endgame, extra pawn, more active king, 2 connected passers, just totally winning endgame here. White should not have enough. We'll take a little bit of technique, but I think Hikaru should manage here. And yeah, white's just not able to keep that pawn. And that's going to be G. Now 2 pawns up is very, very straightforward. So Hikaru's going to win this one. It's actually the last game of the round, so final round coming up. That means Hikaru and Andreykin will be tied for first with 9 out of 10. There'll be a number of players on 8 out of 10, so a bunch of folks can catch them. And since they've already played, so they'll need to both win their games. Or they'll need to kind of see, right? If they both draw, then they'll tie for first. But if someone wins and the other one doesn't, then that player will win. So it comes down to Hikaru and Andreykin for this event. Hikaru is playing Fedoseev. The game is going to be starting shortly. Andreikin playing against Grandmaster David Paravian, who is also very, very strong. So games are underway. Hikaru against Big Fish. Kind of a slow start, but Hikaru really likes these setups with e3, b3. And yeah, I feel like this is definitely a good opening in general, not even just for Blitz, but for Blitz it's nice because it's very straightforward and all the pieces come out quickly, you get some structure, and then you can play the structure. Okay, quick 30-second prediction, guys. Shout out to the chat if you want to bet your channel points. Who do you think is going to win, Hikaru or Andreikin? So get in there, guys, quick. 5,000 on Hikaru. Easy money on Andreikin right now. Easy money. It's like 10-1 odds, guys. Wow, way more than 10-1. And then someone put 55K on. No, that was on the previous one. The Dubov folks, they won the big bet earlier. Damn, it was like 10-1 against Dubov. Insane. Okay, let's see what's going on here. So far, I feel like Black is doing fine. He's got these hanging pawns in the center that are definitely defended. No, Gene Chess, that is a different one. Yeah, we explained it at the top of the show. Because, of course, he would have, if it was the real Kasparov, he would have the Grandmaster title next to his name. Yeah, I think this guy's name is Casper, actually. Okay, let's check out Andreikin. Let's see what's going on here. Looks like this was a Scotch 4 knights. d5, bishop d2. And yeah, one of these kind of quiet positions usually, but here we see takes, rook takes e4. The idea that if white takes, there's bishop takes d2. So rook e4 back, bishop takes d2, queen d2, knight e4, queen f4. Looks like white is going to be winning back the piece. And then, okay, at some point, Black's pawns on the queen side might be vulnerable. But knight c5, queen takes g4, knight takes d3. I feel like Paravian here very, very well prepared. Rook d1. And yeah, it feels like it's going to be about equal here. Black can take this b2 pawn. Seems like, and should be okay. Right, starts with queen e7. Maybe more accurate move, because now if rook takes d3, there's queen e1 check, and queen takes f2. And he does go for it. So okay, this one feels very, very dry, but I'm sure Andreikin will try somehow to make something happen here with the queen and rook, but it's not going to be easy because Black's king is just very safe, right? So it's hard to imagine things really going wrong here for Black. Okay, double pawns are ugly, but currently Black is up a pawn. White's king is a little bit weaker. And, now he has queen d6, actually. Now Black is just better. So Andreikin has totally messed up here, unfortunately for him. He's now down a pawn in this rook endgame and going to be suffering trying to hold. So that means Hikaru honestly just needs to win. And then he can clinch outright. He might even be able to win with a draw. But yeah, now it really comes down to Hikaru. If he can win his game, I think he just gets in. He wins very easily. But okay, easier said than done, because Fedoseev, he's no small fish, let's put it that way. And he's got a very potentially dangerous position against Hikaru's king here. Now again, one of those typical kind of double-edged positions where white has like a better structure, Black has the activity. Now we see like some of Black's pawns starting to hang, but yeah, not clear who has the practical advantage here. A lot of times it's easier to play when you have kind of the nice structure. You have this nice blockade. And then the bishop on b7 could be a real problem for black if it doesn't really do much against this this barrier. So yeah, feels like things are nice for Hikaru. So again, if he wins, I think he gets clear first, as Andreykin is yeah, definitely on the wrong side of the worst position there. This position though still super sharp. I mean, so hard to play, you know, because from White's point of view, you have the nice blockade, but what to do? How to improve the position, right? As soon as you start pushing pawns, your own king is going to get opened up. So h4, okay, there he goes. Now if black takes this one, what's I think the trick is queen f4, hitting two pieces. So I don't think he's going to take. Bishop c8 though, hitting the queen, but things could easily kind of get spoiled here for white on the king side, because the king on h1, not the safest king in the world. Queen on g5, not the safest queen, for sure. But oh man, 30 seconds. 30 seconds is going to be, folks, it's just going to come down to this like last bullet game, essentially. This is going to decide the whole tournament right here. Okay, knight f8, queen f4. And white basically just needs to hold, just keep control. At some point, he's going to want to start pushing the c-pawn, knight e4, knight g5, just bringing the pieces, just kind of slowly taking more space. But more importantly, white has to keep black's pieces under passive control here, right? Like, we cannot allow black to activate, especially on the g-file. Okay, queen e7. He's got knight g6 check, but there's knight takes g6. Counterattacking the queen. Wow, he takes this pawn on d4, knight e6, queen drops back to f2. Okay, the game is speeding up really quickly now. Queen c7, f4. So Hikaru is finally starting to push the king side. Knight c5, rook f1, f6. Both sides here, I think, are just trying not to flag. But Fedoseev, he's fighting back. Bishop f5, fighting for the light squares. Bishop d3, has to watch out for that. This f4 pawn can drop as well. Knight d3 here. He can take on f4 if he wants. He does. 10 seconds for both players. Rook f2, knight d3, bishop g4. Oh, knight e4. He's going after the f6 pawn. But now f5. Knight d6. Rook is hanging. Knight f7 mate. Oh, he shouldn't have hung that. But that is not officially yet. But if Andreykin cannot win his game, then Hikaru is going to be clear first in this tournament. And yeah, I think Andreykin did actually officially lose. So that's it. Hikaru is the clear winner, 10 out of 11. Fantastic performance. We have a couple games left, so we'll definitely stick out to the end of the round. Here we have Grischuk, who probably hasn't had the best event, and looks like he's actually losing this one to Jaspem, who's a super strong blitzer. But okay, lots of games still in the round. And looks like, okay, Diak, actually, he had a great tournament. He finishes with a win against Conrad Holt, so good for him. So top players, I think the standings are pretty much closing themselves out here. Hikaru, 10 out of 11, first. Second place, Andreykin. Although I think the tiebreaks could still update after the round. So tied for second, we have Andreykin, David Paravian, and Amin Tabatabaye. We'll see who actually ends up on top, because second through fourth here is currently up for grabs. A couple games still left. So yeah, we'll see who finishes it off. Now this is a classic. I'm surprised we haven't seen more of this endgame throughout the tournament. Actually, we saw very few. It was kind of disappointing, because these are really some of my favorite endgames to watch on 1 second increment, right? And this is the last game of the tournament, guys. So you might complain, but once this game is over, that's it. There's going to be no more chess. So tournament over. Looks like the standings here are not correct. I don't know what this is about. But Hikaru on first place. You guys can see it right below me. Hikaru on first place, 10 out of 11. Andreykin gets second with the best tie breaks. That kind of makes sense. He was at the top the whole time, 9 out of 11. And David Paravian, another Grandmaster, 9 out of 11, snags third place. Amin Tabatabai snubbed. He tied for second, but worse tiebreaks than everyone else. He finished third earlier, so he's had a pretty good day, third place and a fourth place finish. But yeah, folks, that is gonna do it. Yeah, I don't know about those tiebreaks here, but you guys can see the final standings over here on just below me. So, well, guys, that is gonna do it. Thanks for hanging out. That was a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. They made an announcement. There is no Arena Kings tomorrow because of the Bullet Chess Championship. So I think that's going to be the next big event coming up on this channel. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it for me. Thanks for watching the show. Yeah, thanks to the mods for posting the link there to twitch.tv/chessdojo live. That's where you can catch me and a couple of other very, very nice folks who like to stream and watch some chess. Yeah, actually, I don't have control over the raid or anything, but yeah, you guys feel free to raid whoever you like. I don't think Dojo is going to be streaming, so otherwise I would raid Dojo. But yeah, you guys feel free, raid Gotham, whoever you like. But that is gonna do it. Catch you all folks next time. See ya.